Purge the forbidden lands in a wall of flame with the Gunlance. I'll show you how by guiding you through the moveset in 3 levels, so you can start simple and grow from there. I prepared for you a range of flowcharts to help you see how it all interacts and visualize the experience. And level 1 will take less than 1 minute, so set the timer and let's go. Shelling. Repeatedly tap circle to let off your shelling, doing consistent damage regardless of the monster's hit zones. Mid combo, you can quick reload with R2 and circle to replenish your shells. Next up is our Worm Stake Cannon combo. Use triangle 4 times in a row for 2 lateral thrusts into a wide sweep, followed by Worm Stake Cannon, doing lots of ticks of damage. Just make sure to have the control stick in neutral for the first triangle input. Outside of a combo, do a full reload with R2 and circle, replenishing both your shells and your Worm Stake shot. For big openings, scorch the earth with a Wyvern's Fire by pressing R2, triangle and circle. The gauge on the left indicates how many you have available. This replenishes over time and as you land attacks. You can guard incoming attacks with R2 and adjust your positioning with steps using a direction and X up to 3 times in a row. And that's about it for level 1 of Gunlance. This should get you underway with the monster that you're already familiar with. For now, don't worry about the type of shelling your Gunlance has. This will be more relevant once you've learned some combos and got a feel for which attacks you like best. Keep watching to learn about burst attacks, charged shelling, and some helpful movement options. Plus, higher watch times really help the channel, so thanks if you do. Well, hi there, I'm Dunks, welcome to the finale of my weapon guide series. We started with the lance, so let's finish with its smouldering brother, and quite literally, end with a bang. But before we go on to level 2, let's just cover some helpful information about the level 1 attacks. Reloads. Outside of a combo, R2 and circle reloads your shells and your Worm Stake shot. However, mid-combo, R2 and circle does a quick reload, only reloading your shells, so watch out for that. Shelling. You can switch to shelling after the majority of attacks by pressing circle, resetting your position in any combo loop. However, there are a few instances where circle will specifically initiate a different attack, which should be obvious when it comes up. The damage of shelling is affected only by raw attack, shelling level and shelling type. It is not affected by sharpness or affinity. So, if you're mostly doing a lot of shelling, there's not much pressure to maintain sharpness, but it doesn't hurt to top it up here and there for the other moves. Wyvern's Fire. Well, isn't this a fun move? Almost too fun. When you do 2 Wyvern's Fires in sequence, the second one will have a dramatically reduced startup time. This accelerated Wyvern's Fire is also available after certain other moves, like the Worm Stake Cannon. I'll point them out as we go and do a little roundup at the end. This is great for when an opening becomes available, allowing you to quickly capitalize. Guarding. When guarding, you may take some degree of chip damage, stamina loss, and recoil called knockback. These effects can be reduced through the weapon skill Guard. However, some attacks cannot be guarded, like grabs and Doshaguma's Groundquake. In these cases, either A. Avoid the attack through dodging and positioning, or B. Invest in the weapon skill Guard Up. 1 point in Guard Up blocks the associated move and also prevents any associated grab. Further investment in Guard Up reduces the chip damage from blocking that previously unblockable attack. Note, there will be a very small number of moves that cannot be blocked either way, like Supernovas from Jinderhad or Zoshia. However, these moves usually have a long wind up for you to respond in a different way. Other weapon skills to consider for Funlance. Artillery boosts your shelling damage and improves Wyvern's Fire's startup speed. And Load Shells increases your shelling capacity. Nice. Also, it's well worth considering the skill Offensive Guard. This gives you a big temporary attack boost whenever you guard an attack just before it lands. For endgame builds, check the comments and description for a lovely page on Reddit made by people far cleverer than my handsome self. In this video I'm using one of the sets that includes earplugs, which helps a lot when it comes to high commitment attacks. Level 2. Let's touch on charged and vertical shelling. Hold circle. This charges up your shelling, allowing you to release all your shells at once at a higher overall damage. Other than feeling extremely cathartic, this recharges quite a lot of your Wyvern's Fire gauge. So if the monster is vulnerable, consider the utility of this as an option, and you can partially charge if you'd like to. If you're sick of Rathalos mocking you all the way up there, I know I am, knock down the King of the Skies with this. From neutral, press triangle and circle to do a rising slash, then immediately start shelling to fire directly above you. Take that, you weird looking bird. Well, anyway. You can also quick reload while vertically shelling without it returning you to horizontal. Just immediately start shelling again after the reload. You can also do a rising slash after lateral thrust 1 and 2 if you so desire by pressing triangle and circle with no directional input. But it makes the final flowchart very messy, and I'm here to serve knowledge, not spaghetti. And the rising slash is an excellent introduction to our next combo route, burst shelling. After a rising slash or vertical shelling, simply press triangle to perform an overhead smash. A surprisingly important move. This is because the overhead smash has two options out of it. Firstly, press triangle to skip ahead to the wide sweep. This provides a different combo route through to your Wormstake cannon. See? Told you the wide sweep brings it all together, but you didn't believe me, did you? Alternatively, after an overhead smash, press circle for a burst. This unloads all your remaining shells and feels empowering. This combo is excellent to do a burst while remaining stationary or after vertical shelling. Rising slash, overhead smash, burst. Triangle and circle, into circle. I recommend taking time to get this under your fingers. After any burst, you can then press triangle to go into a wide sweep leading into a Wormstake cannon. Alternatively, after a burst, simply quick reload to reset your shells. Up to you. Just like with the wide sweep, there are several different ways to get to the overhead smash. The second route is as a counter from a perfect guard. If you activate a guard just before a monster's hit lands, you'll get a perfect guard. This has greatly reduced knockback, chip damage and stamina drain. But specifically after a perfect guard, you can press triangle to go straight into an overhead smash. So a satisfying counter combo could be perfect guard, overhead smash, burst. R2 into triangle, into circle. But equally, you could go perfect guard into overhead smash, into wide sweep, into Wormstake cannon if you'd like. Oh, and whilst we're on the subject, a perfect guard can be immediately followed by one of those accelerated Wyvern's Fires. Again, we'll summarise all these at the end of the video. There are another couple of ways to get to a burst attack, but we'll cover those in level 3 because I think I've thrown enough at you at the moment. But before we go on to level 3, let's just cover our focus attack. Hold L2 to enter focus mode, aim for a glowing wound, and press R1 to do focus strike, Drake Ogre. Yep, again, just like as I said in my bow guide, they are all dragon themed. Wormstake, Wyvern's Fire, Drake Ogre, Thousand Dragons, Dragon Piercer, when will it stop? Drake Ogre. This takes a bit of setup as a hunter needs to reload their Wormstake shot first, even if it's already reloaded. The move will do lots of ticks of damage and an explosion, and you can follow it up with an accelerated Wyvern's Fire if you so desire. And if you like, you can end the focus strike early by pressing R1. If you've been enjoying this video, it would massively help the channel if you gave it a like and maybe left a lovely comment, or subscribe for more content in the future. There's so much more to come. It'd be so great if you did. I would love to have you around. Level 3. Right, so we've got some complicated combos coming up. But before that, let's just address the gamut in the room. We have 3 different shelling types. What's the deal with that? Well, normal shelling has a high number of shells, good for charged shelling and burst fire. Wide shelling is my favourite. It has lower shell capacity, but each shell is much stronger. It also has the strongest Wyvern's Fire attacks. Long shelling has, well, longer range. The individual shelling fits somewhere between normal and wide, and long shelling also has the strongest wormstake cannon attacks. That said, it's not really a big deal which you go for, but if you prefer certain attacks, then tailor your choice accordingly. Okay, coming up, we've got another way to do a burst attack, this time taking ground as you do so. But it starts to make our flowchart a little bit complicated. From neutral, press triangle with a directional input and you'll do a lunging up thrust. This helps you take a bit of ground, and if you're on a slope, initiate a slide as well. Anyway, after the lunging up thrust, you can do an overhead smash, but this time you need to input triangle and circle. Then the usual options for burst fire or wide sweep, or burst fire into wide sweep, whichever you want to do. I'm not the police, I'm not going to govern you. Bit annoying that in this one instance, overhead smash is triangle and circle and not just triangle, right? Why is this? Well, triangle after a lunging up thrust will go into lateral thrust 1. This allows you to close in on your opponent before starting your wormstake cannon combo. Evidently, it was also decided to have the overhead smash as an option out of lunging up thrust, so I guess they decided triangle and circle would fit best. Now, before we go on to our next subject, let's recap our burst options. You have 3 ways to get to an overhead smash. The lunging up thrust option helps you take ground first. The rising slash option is quick, stationary, and allows for vertical shelling. Then the perfect guard option is a fun route out of a counterattack. As you learn this goofy little weapon, you'll solidify each of these routes in your muscle memory and gain an instinct for which outcomes you want to aim for. But I hope that these flowcharts help you with all that learning. Oh, and just for completeness, you can go from either of the lateral thrusts into a lunging up thrust. Man, I'm saying thrust a lot today. After a lateral thrust, press triangle and circle with a directional input. If you don't add the direction, you'll just do a rising slash instead. Anyway, enough of the lunging up thrust. Let's go for some of the biggest damage that the Gunlance can offer. We have outlined many ways to get to the wide sweep, but the wide sweep actually has 2 options out of it. The first has already been discussed. Press triangle to do a wormstake cannon. This is a relatively quick option. But the second option, after the wide sweep, is to press triangle and circle for a wormstake full blast. This does a burst and a wormstake at the same time. Bargain. And, even better than that, follow this up by pressing either triangle or circle to quickly do a similar move, the multi-wormstake full blast. This whole procedure does take quite a bit of an opening or a gamble, but it is powerful. For an alternative route to the full blasts, try this. After shelling, hold forward, left or right and press triangle for a moving wide sweep. Not only does this let you reposition, but it also has the same follow-ups as a regular wide sweep, that being either the wormstake cannon or the wormstake full blast. It's a strange combo of inputs. Circle into direction and triangle, into triangle and circle, into triangle, but it moves you about quite a bit and it's definitely worth learning. I should mention though that another place you can do this moving wide sweep is straight out of a sneak attack, meaning that you can open up a hunt with a full burst combo. That's where earplugs really comes in handy. Also, the moving wide sweep is an option out of a power clash, allowing you to get up to the monster and do your wormstake attacks if you'd like. Before we wrap up, it's worth going over our aerial option, as there is quite a bit of fun to be had here. Pressing R2 in the air performs the jumping smash, which, curiously, doubles as a quick reload, replenishing your shells, but not your wormstake shot. It also just feels great, and can be a fun option out of a sacred when running into battle. But the jumping smash also has 2 excellent follow-ups. Press circle to do an immediate burst. Especially great given that the jumping smash reloads your shells. Alternatively, after a jumping smash, press triangle to go straight into the wide sweep, giving you a quick lead into one of your wormstake routes. But the aerial options don't end there. With your weapon drawn in the air, you can also press circle to do an aerial burst sweeping horizontally, which the game treats as a wide sweep because when you land, you have the immediate option to do one of your wormstake follow-ups. So with some creative use of the sacred, ledges and slopes in the environment, you can find some fun playstyles using this surprisingly deep aerial toolkit. Get out there and have a play about. So here's a final look at the flowchart I came up with. Remember, you can do a rising slash out the first 2 lateral thrusts by pressing triangle and circle with no directional input. And you can jump straight into shelling with circle almost anywhere that doesn't have a dedicated follow-up bound to circle, such as the overhead smash leading into the burst attack. Adding flow lines for everything would make this very difficult to read, so I hope you don't mind that I left these out. And for a summarization of opportunities to do an accelerated Wyvern's Fire, firstly, if you do 2 consecutive Wyvern's Fires, the second will be quicker. And then initiating a Wyvern's Fire after any of the following moves will also cause it to be quicker. Firstly, after any Wormstake attack, secondly, after any Perfect Guard, and thirdly, after your Focus Strike, Drake Ogre. Now, this is the part of the video where I'd normally goof off and let the credits roll, but this time, 10 weapon guides. And they've changed my channel. I released the Lance guide with 114 subscribers, and now I have over 2,000. Your love and support have been incredible in a time where I've really needed a win in my life, honestly. It's been so awesome to grow in new skills and learn that I have the ability to communicate complicated information in a fresh way to people. It's a foot in the door of YouTube. The remaining weapons really aren't my cup of tea. And with Wilds having maybe a little bit of a rough time in public discourse right now, it's not worth pushing through something I don't really enjoy just for the potential of reaching only a few people. And I feel like you'd be able to tell if I wasn't really feeling it. So now it's time to go on an adventure and try and find some new angles and video ideas to explore. Maybe I'll find my next hit series. I would love for you to come along and join the ride. Thank you for all the love and support and kind comments along the whole way. It's really made a big difference in my life. I hope you grow to love the Gunlance and any of the other weapons I've covered. Well, I'll see you around soon. Take care, and I'll catch you on the other side.